Statistics say that dual income families have tripled in the last 20 years, especially millennials choosing to have a lifestyle which is better than probably their parents or grandparents or families. They have bigger vacations, longer vacations, more vacations. They're financially stable. They give good education to their children and have a good lifestyle in general. Dual income is a family setting where both parents, that is husband and wife, girlfriend or boyfriend, or both partners in general, are working with the environment being changed, where the woman is required to go out to work and then she comes back with her own stress. There is an urgent need for the changes to happen immediately within the family settings. In this video, I would be talking about what are the advantages, disadvantages, and also how you can manage with the disadvantages and turn them into advantages and make it all a win-win picture for your family. Thank you for one of my clients who actually asked me to make this video, because she said that there are a lot of women who may not be comfortable talking to a counselor. If you also have any topic in mind which is related to psychology, please do not hesitate to write an email to me or send me a direct message on Instagram. If you pick 10 families, out of 10, at least 5 to 6 families, you will see that both the women and the man are working. So because there is a change in environment, a change which is urgently needed to adapt to this change, just like how we all adjusted and adapted to the situation of COVID, is that couples, that is the wife and husband, are struggling to hit a fine balance between professional life and personal life. Today, I will be talking the most common problems. In olden days, if you see, the environment was different. And if we probably talk about our parents or grandparents or probably uncles and aunts, only one person was working. Of course, this is not 100%, but most of the cases. So if you see that the man of the house or the husband would go out as a provider, have a full-time job, and when he came back, the wife who was at home doing the household chores, like cleaning, utensils, doing the laundry, taking care of kids, getting their homework done, and prepping them for exam. All this was done by the woman of the house. So when man came with the stress home, women would give a glass of water, give tea, coffee, or some beverage. So this has changed. Why? Because both the couple, that is the husband and wife, they go out to work, they both are coming back home. So who's going to get water for who? Especially is to men. How many of you have really, when your wife came from work, and let's say that day you were at home, you took a leave, or you had something else to take care of, so you were at home. When your wife came home, how many of you went and gave a glass of water to your wife? How many of you have made her favorite beverage, whether she takes tea, coffee, or whatever, and gave it to her? How many of you have done it? If you have done this, may God bless you, and keep doing it, because that's exactly what I would be talking about in this video. The entitlement which men think they have has to change, because women are getting almost close to what it takes for the family to have a better lifestyle. So have a better marital life, you're more happy, you're more peaceful, because happiness and peace, let me tell you, it shows on your face. There are some of my clients I have spoken to, and I visibly see them stressed. I visibly see them that they're upset about their life, especially marital life. First, major and primary thing is financial stability. When both wife and husband work, the financial status of the family in general becomes very stable, and you have more disposable income in hand, so you get to take longer vacations. You're able to provide good education to your child or children. You're having good food, or maybe not good food, but probably people like Zomato and Swiggy is making a lot of money. And in general, you're able to afford a good health care, and you're able to have a bigger house, you have bigger cars, you have 2 or 3 cars. So financial stability is one of the factors which directly shows your lifestyle and how affluent your life is. The second one is about having a larger social circle. So wife, they have their own social circles, and we're talking about socializing with people in general, especially like your colleagues or my clients do tell me is when both wife and husband, they work, in general, the approach towards the gender equality is almost there, because typically when you get used to this kind of setting where both couple are working, you kind of have common goals. You know what it takes to get promoted at work. You know, as a man or the women, what it takes to work hard, what it takes to wake up in the morning, take care of kids, and then get them to school. You have to get to work. There's some amount of gender equality which has come, is that you know that you can sit with your spouse and talk about it. The next one on the list is having children who are self-reliable and self-sufficient. What happens is, where both wife and husband or parents, which I would like to refer, is that when a child or children in the house, they see that mother and father, both of them, they go to work, they start to become independent, that is self-reliable at a very early age, as young as 10 years old. They start to exhibit characteristics at a young age of being a very smart child, because they understand that the father and mother are not available to them all the time, and then they have a very limited amount of time to spend with them. And this is one of the important skills which will help them when they grow up, because being self-reliable and self-sufficient is one of the skills which you will need anyways when you grow up and become an adult. So the first disadvantage is the work-life balance. So what is work-life balance? It becomes very difficult for a person to manage both profession and personal life. Why? Because a lot of times, you have to spend extra hours at work, and then who is going to take care of the family, or who is going to take care of my child, or who's going to cook dinner? So there are a lot of things which you need to really take care of, especially when you know that there is an important project at work where you have to spend a little more time, because individually, wife and husband, they both have a career to maintain. At the same time, they both have to come home and take care of the family as well. So who's going to do what, how, is the point to discuss. Not having a good work-life balance is negatively affecting couples, their marriages, and or their relationship in general, because this causes a lot of stress. And multitasking is too stressful. And I must stress this, is that multitasking is not easy. If you're 100% focused to one thing and finish that fantastically, if more time at work, or when a person is going to work, they have less time for family. And in all this, the people who struggle the most are the kids, the children, because they hardly have 1 or 2 or 3 hours at a max where they get to spend with the child is struggling to have more time with the parents. They have the desire to connect, have conversations, tell them about how the school was, and what did they do in the school, what went well, what did not go well. So this is one of the points which you really need to consider when you have a dual career life. I'm going to talk about how to manage this towards the end of the video. Keep watching. The next disadvantage is a dual career couple, they bring a lot of stress home. What it means is, both husband and wife, they have their respective jobs. When they're coming back home, they come with their own stress. So there's nobody to balance. Both of them, they have their stress, and that stress in turn causes a lot of other conflict personally, and this overall leads to a lot of other problems and unhappy marriage life or unhappy relationship in general. Now, I made this video about stress. It's right here. Please watch this after watching this video. And I spoke about what stress can do to your body, how it affects your body, what is that you can do to kill stress or eliminate stress. So take some time out, watch this video. Now, coming back to stress from work. Now, stress is not tangible. You can't see stress. You can't show stress to anyone. So what you can do, stress doesn't come in the laptop bag that you, before you entering home, you leave the laptop bag at the at the door and say, hey, stress, I'm going to see you tomorrow. You can't do that, right? You have to manage it, because stress has more to do with how you feel inside. For dual career couple, there is a pressing need for you to fine-tune your personal life, professional life, your children, your finances, household chores, and whatnot. There's so many things you have to take care of. even if you don't have children and if you're just a couple, it is still difficult because personally you're not able to do a lot of things. There are times when you want to just come back from office and relax, sleep, probably go for a spa, meet your friends, relatives, spend some good time with your family. You're not able to do all this because you know that the next day you have to go to work. So therefore, it creates some kind of personal conflict with yourself if you're not able to accomplish a lot of things at personal level. And this in turn brings a lot of stress. And another disadvantage is division in the household chores. Now, like I mentioned before, is that if the man automatically takes the responsibility of sharing the chores, then you are fantastic, you're at a good place. But what if it's not? If the man feels entitled that he will not do anything at home, he just comes from work, he expects the wife or the woman to serve dinner and clean the utensils, etc. Division of household work or chores becomes one of the topics which could create a lot of stress. Another disadvantage we have for working couples is that one person is making sacrifices either all the time or some of the times. And that leads to unhappiness internally. You're not a happy person inside, you're not a peaceful person inside, because what happens is, and this is also coined as trailing spouse, which means that one of spouse's career is settled and is more stable, is in a higher designation, and therefore the other person has to adjust his or her career to the partner. And this kind of somewhere causes some unhappiness because you feel that you're handcuffed and your hands are tied, you're not able to move flexibly, you're not able to jump jobs or move from one place to another. All these disadvantages somewhere affects the overall relationship or the marriage, and this definitely is going to have a negative impact on your marriage or a relationship. Couples, they tend to lack the physical intimacy. Why? Because you have your own stress. You're coming with your stress, and it takes time for you to process the stress. And no one thinks of actually doing anything physical. You just want to go to bed, sleep, and wake up, do household chores the next day, and go to work. Over a period of time, when there is lack of physical intimacy, a little distant, there is a gap which comes in between them. So they no longer feel very comfortable talking about intimacy and anything to do with closeness or being close with each other physically. Next thing is communication. Now this is between the partners and also with their children. Why? Because there's lack of time. With the paucity of time, you understand that you really don't have that time to sit and talk about things or argue about something or have lengthy discussion. So what it does is, in turn, it kind of brings resentment that if you are struggling with an issue with your spouse or your partner, instead of talking about it, you kind of just let it go because you're already stressed with so many things at work, and you really don't want to spend extra time in being more stressed or getting more stressed by discussing this with your partner. And then we spoke about the domestic chores. The first best thing to do is try to eliminate the cause of stress. Here also, I would like to mention that even at the stage of you're dating someone or when you are looking for matches, know the disadvantages and advantages of having a dual career couple or having a spouse or partner who works, and then consider who you want. Choose accordingly. The next best thing I want to talk about is have a work-life balance. Now, how can you hit a work-life balance? Or it's always advisable to choose a job which offers you more flexibility. When I talk about flexibility, look for jobs where they offer you work from home. So you don't have to be away from home like all 6 or 7 days a week. You can choose when to go to office and when to stay at home and work. The next is look for jobs where you have an option to take a reduced number of working hours. Is that you don't have to really stretch for those 40 hours a week, but you have a better option to take less hours and still be working and still be getting a good salary. These days, there's a trend of remote jobs. So a lot of companies outside India are offering remote jobs. So you can take a remote job which offers the flexibility of you working anytime you want in these 24 hours. They really don't pressurize you of working for the 8 or 9 hours in stretch. So that's something you can consider. So consider the best option available according to your family setting. If you have a newborn child, if you have a toddler at home, or if you have an adult, depending on the time you would have to spend with your child or with your partner. If your job is consistently and constantly giving you worry and stress and it's causing anxiety, then it's high time that you revise the goals you have about this job. And while you have this job, look for another job which will probably fulfill your personal and professional goals and also offer you a better work-life balance. There's no point in sitting and being where you are and keep struggling about that job. You're not a tree, you can move. Please look for a job which suits your family the best. Focus on the positive. Always look at the brighter side and celebrate the small wins. And here I'm not talking about always trying to give gifts of gold, diamonds, but what I'm talking about is celebrate those little wins, because what matters the most are the little things in life. So when your husband or wife is promoted at work, or they have a salary raise, or they have received an award, just go out, celebrate it, go for dinner, lunch, or go for a day outing. These celebrations are the ones which actually give a lot of happiness, and that overall increases the happiness quotient of the relationship. Be flexible with your gender roles. Be rigid with what you have to do. Say, I'm a man, I'm not going to go into the kitchen or cook for you. Or don't say that, oh, I'm working, this is not what I can do, what I cannot do. Being a dual career couple, you have to be very flexible with what you do. The more you work with each other, you share responsibilities, the more harmony you will see in the relationship. Therefore, it is advisable that don't limit yourself or try to label work as a gender, that cooking should be done by women, or I will not go out and get vegetables, that has to be done by a man. So don't attach a gender to some work. Actually, work has no gender. So any work, as long as you're comfortable or you can do it, I think you should do it. And that overall increases the happiness of the dual career couple. The next thing is learn to say no. You already have pressure from work. You have a family to maintain. You have children to take care of. You should always draw the boundaries and make those boundaries healthy, and know that this is a time that I should say no. If your boss says, hey, I want you to work extra 2 hours and finish this task, and promise your children to take out for that movie which released. So you need to tell your boss that I really wish I can spend this time, but I'm really sorry I cannot, because I've promised my children that I'll take them out. You either have to assign this to someone else, or I think I can do this tomorrow. Always strike a healthy balance, and you should always learn to say no, because it's your right. And the more you do it, the better you will get at it. So learn to say no when you have to. Now, I'm not saying that you have to say no to everything bluntly to an extent that you lose your job. No, that's not what I meant. I meant is that you have the ability to say no, and you are the best judge to decide when you have to say no. So be wise, use your wisdom. From the next one on the list is have a discussion with your partner every now and then. Now, in the disadvantages, we saw that how when you already have so much of stress from work and from other household things, you have bills to pay, and then you have no time to talk about what better you can do in life in terms of bringing more harmony to the relationship. So what I would highly recommend is that as a life coach, you need to sit with your partner, and sometimes during the weekend or when it's a holiday, please sit with your partner and ask your partner, is there anything else I can do to make our relationship better? Is there anything else you need my help with, or do you want me to be more engaged with something? You want me to help you with the laundry, you want me to help you with something. So be available and be present, be mindful in having a discussion with your partner. I know it may not sound very easy, but think about this, is that when you have your one-on-one with boss, and that's the kind of discussion I'm talking about, and when you have this discussion with your partner, You're not going to talk about work. Here, the scope and agenda is clearly going to be your overall marital happiness or your overall relationship happiness. Is there something where you think I'm going wrong, or is there something you think I should improve my skills or do better? Do you think, am I spending good time with our children? These discussions will really help you understand and become more sensible, because this is not an easy topic to discuss with a partner. But the more you do, I'm sure the first time you're going to sit with your partner and talk about this, it'll be uncomfortable, because this will look more like a formal conversation, but it's important to have. The next time you're going to talk about it, it'll become a little playful. And then the more and more you kind of have these discussions, the more comfortable you would start to become with each other. And you will be able to share and communicate what you want, what you don't want, where you can get better. The next best way you can manage is outsourced household chores, if you can afford. I know not everyone can afford to have a cook, have a housemaid, have a nanny. But if you can afford, and that's the whole point of dual career life, is that you have more financial freedom to make bigger choices, bigger decisions. Do not stick to one thing and say that I do not like maids coming inside the house, or maybe you had a theft at house and you are not comfortable having any maid come over, not comfortable with maids coming inside. I think that's a thought process which has to change. If you do household chores, you work, you also are working with the children and getting their homework done. They have exams, so you need to spend time with them, and then you have work. You need to understand that we all have the same 24 hours, and you are not a Superman. Superman, Spider-Man, all of them are good in the movies, but not in the real life. So juggling and struggling between different responsibilities and roles we have at work and in family is going to drain you. And to avoid that, if you can outsource, say, cleaning of utensils to a maid, please do that. If you can give laundry outsource, that's at least that amount of time you can save. Now, just some quick suggestions is that a lot of people did tell me that we had maids who took our personal belongings. So 2 things very important is, whenever you have a third person coming inside the house, let it be maids, visitors, distant relatives, or whoever they are, make sure that 2 things. 1, you supervise them at all times. I understand that there could be certain circumstances where you can't supervise them, but if it is a maid, be vigilant and supervise them. Second thing is, anything which is expensive, gold, diamonds, tomatoes, and onions, please keep them in lock and key and away from a place which the maid would typically know. If you think that maid is probably accessing that room, just stay there, or just supervise them to ensure that they are not taking anything or even touching anything without your permission. And that you take the entire stress on you is not going to help, because your energy is limited. You don't have unlimited energy. Your time is limited. You only have 24 hours. So if you come back home, or even before going to work, you have utensils to clean, you have laundry to do, you have cooking to do, and you have another 10, 12, 14 hours at work, and then no time to sleep, and then you have the next day scheduled. With that, I would like to conclude is that being a dual career couple is not easy. If women is able to bring the same money to the table, they expect that respect. They expect you to not treat them like a maid, that they are doing everything for you. I think it's okay sometimes to be helpful to them, be a part of doing things at house. Ultimately, it's your house too. There's no point in having earned the entire world and not having peace. It's so important that you have a handful of meal with peace than having crores of rupees in your bank and not having peace. Thank you so much for watching. Stay blessed. See you in my next video.